Okay, so a lot of people have been making their own hot takes, so I thought I'd react to some of them. I'm gonna make a few videos on this because a few different people have been giving their own Dokkan hot takes. But we'll start off with the boy Halvard, because from what I can tell he seems to have like the most hot takes, so I'll start with this and then I'll make more videos I'd say over the next few days. We'll see. I'll certainly get to it at some point, but the sooner the better. But for now, let's get into the boy Halvard's Dokkan hot takes. His first is it a hot take or is it just take? Okay, it specifically says hot take, so let's get into it. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I am a big fan of this unit. As a matter of fact, I am a very big fan. But let's read the hot take. Okay, this unit was simply stronger than anyone was ready for him to be. Sure, I don't know if I'd say that's a hot take. Do you know what? I won't comment too much on that part of the tweet, but let's continue reading. And a lot of people don't want to give him his flowers. See, I don't know if I agree with this part. This basically means, he's basically saying that people don't respect this unit as much as they should. I don't agree with that, because from what I can personally tell, and from what I can see of the community, the vast majority of the community understands how good he is. And normally with me personally, I am very critical of units that are only good in very specific setups, and this guy is only good on the Dragon Ball Hero team or on the crossover team. But with that said, because of how dominant he really is on the team, and because of how good the team is in general, I don't see that as a problem. And with this unit specifically, I definitely give him his flowers. And even the point that I'm making here is that if anyone's going to be critical of him, it's going to be me. And even I'm not critical. So I don't know why you said that people don't give him his flowers, because I disagree. I think people do give him his flowers, and he deserves the flowers for that, as a matter of fact. But let's continue. The only reason this unit is feeling so strong right now, despite his age, is the type spread for Zamasu. I mean, you're not wrong. A decent amount of bosses, or difficult bosses, are int, and he's physical, so that is very good. On top of that, he gives damage reduction to the whole rotation, and he creates rainbow orbs. So he's aged well. Certainly a lot of luck involved with the enemy typings, but he's definitely aged well. But sure, I'll give you that. This guy's easy A is going to be a lot stronger than most. This might be controversial on my in terms of my take on this. The words are struggling to come out. But my take on this is that he might be bad. Because, okay, and here's my reasoning. And my reasoning is that LR, Kale and Caulifla also stack defense on their 18 and 12 key, and they have a lot of additionals. And they were garbage as an easy A. And Broly is the same thing. However, there is a difference. The difference is, with this Broly unit, he's gonna raise his stats, whereas Kale and Caulifla are an LR, so their stats don't increase. So based on that, he could actually be good. So honestly, Halvard, you could be right. But I think the more controversial opinion would be mine, which is that his easy A probably won't be that impressive. But the more that I think about it, his easy A will probably be good. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, because not only will he get the stat increase, not only is he stacking defense, he also has damage reduction. So you know what, the more that I think about it, I'm starting to agree with you more and more. But yeah, fair enough, let's continue then. All it takes is one new unit of relative quality to himself. Wait, let me read that again. All it takes is one new unit of relative quality to himself. I'm not sure what you mean by that. And Tech Janemba's easy A. So what you're saying is, if his team gets better, he becomes arguably the best TUI in the game. Sure, I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a very fair take. I agree with that. If his team was better, he would already be the best TUR, arguably. Certainly one of the best TURs. But right now, I don't even have him top 5. Like, legitimately, I don't even have him top 5 right now. Because of the lack of teams. But he's not bad. Like, he's certainly close to top 5. Like, he won't be out of top 10, that's 100%. But let's continue. I said this in context of Path to Power Kid Goku's relevance, but this is true. But this is the opposite. Okay, I don't know if I'm just tired right now. To be fair, it is nearly my bedtime, but maybe is it me here, or is it the wording? But let's just read the actual tweet and then I'll give my opinion. If one of the new hardest stages is STR, we're going to get an immediate waves of I don't know why people were so harsh on this guy. He cooks. I mean, yeah, fair. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, honestly, fair enough. He would be good with type advantage, but I mean, even without type advantage, he's not bad. But by the way, just as a side note, in the background over there, he fully looks like Omega Shenron. Like, in just a complete side note here, but he looks so much like Omega Shenron in the background. I don't know why I think that. Like, is it just me, or do people agree with me? Like, in the background, he looks so much like Omega Shenron. But let's continue. If this unit's kit were the exact same, but they released on a team that wasn't as bad as GT bosses, people would like them. Sure, I won't argue with that. They can't hold that team up, so they have literally zero value. Yeah, honestly, yeah. GT bosses either... Oh, actually, you know what? I was going to say just make it stronger, but just stop giving units that many restrictions. Just stop it. Even free-to-play units, it's just not good. If you're going to restrict free-to-play units, at least give them good setups. This unit just has zero setups, so yeah. These 3 units are shining examples of World Tournament exclusive units need to be. Of how good they need to be, especially the Gohan. This Gohan is very good. Like, his Easy A was mwah. It's unfortunate that we're going to have to wait a while on Global to get him yet. This was one of those units where they can literally do so much damage so quickly that them being mid defensively barely matters. They eat every boss alive. Yeah, honestly, fair enough. As time goes on, I am starting to respect this unit more and more. Although, if his banner was still live, I would not recommend that people summon. I repeat, if his banner was still live, outside of discounts, I would not recommend that people summon, even though it's double rates, because the rest of the banner was pretty bad. From what I remember, who was even on the banner? I can't remember the exact units on the banner, but it wasn't that impressive. I think STR Carnival Goku was there maybe, I don't remember, but either way, let's continue. The LR physical droids EZA was better than anyone expected them to be, I agree, although that's not a hot take. And they are actually astonishing, I agree. Yet they've already fallen into obscurity when it comes units people talk about. Okay. Yeah, fair. But although I think I'm not saying they don't have setups, but how many setups do they have? I'm not actually sure about that. So I'm not gonna comment on this too much. Because if they don't have that many setups, I can see why people don't really talk about them as much. I'm not actually sure about that, so I'm not gonna comment on that too much. But individually, this unit is really good. All of these characters deserve Dokkan Fests as well. Let's stop pretending they don't. Out of all of them, TN deserves it the most. 100%. Actually, if we're talking about great Saiyaman without the helmet on his own, he would easily be number 1. But if we're saying with the mask, or with Videl even, which is even worse because they would have no teams, then I would say TN deserves it the most. Obviously, if Gohan was on his own without the mask, he would deserve it even more. Because without the mask, that's not a bad look for Gohan. Like, low-key, that is very much not a bad look for Gohan. But specifically without the mask. Well, it's not a mask. Without the... Is it a bandana or whatever that is? Without that, he looks way better. But let's continue. When they took away Dokkan Battlefield, it wasn't too long after that they brought it back completely revamped. They should have done the same thing with Chain Battle. I agree 100%, and furthermore, rather than getting rid of Chain Battle, they should have removed Pattern Battle. As a side note, by the way, this version of what's it called, Dokkan Battlefield, never came to global. It looked pretty interesting. I would have loved to get that on. I would have loved to have that on global, even if it was only on global once. Like, this would have been pretty. It looks pretty fun, but it never came to global, so I don't know if it is good or not. Like, this was a JP exclusive thing, yet another global shaft. But let's continue. These two being mid literally did not help villains at all. I mean, that's not a hot take at all. Like, it really isn't. But let's continue. I agree, by the way, obviously. It's not a hot take. He is the coolest worldwide celebration ever. I mean, that is subjective. My personal opinion would be the Gohan was the coolest thing, because of the Goku and Piccolo in the background. That was, in my opinion, that was by far the coolest thing about the celebration. When he easy A's, if they what? For 2 turns, if he supports for 2 turns, that would be dirty. That would be very good. Coupled with his insane tanking, he's the best villain unit in the game. Literally, villain Bulma. And you know what? I'm here for it. On top of that, make him a rainbow orb changer, so he's actually the villain Bulma. And that would be epic. Because villains desperately need something like that. Like, desperately. Way more than super units. This would instantly be one of the most hyped celebrations of the entire year if this was Golden Week. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes. It certainly, actually no, it wouldn't be the most hype, or even one of the most hype. Because Gogeta Blue would be more hype, Beast Gohan would be more hype, what else, any fusions would be more hype, like literally, not any, Gogeta and Vegeta specifically would be more hype. Any iteration of Gohan would be more hype, aside from Kid Gohan. But yeah, there's a lot of things that would be more hype than this, but this would be hype, you're not wrong. This guy's Easy A being very strong is good, I agree, by the way. This guy, his Easy A does seem quite decent. I think some people are overrating him, but from what I can tell, he seems pretty good. Obviously, we've not seen gameplay yet, so I can't say too much, but from the little that I've seen, like just based on the information, he seems very solid. I'm very satisfied with his Easy A. He needed his Easy A. Well, yeah. He was far too old to not have it. Obviously, he was literally the oldest premium unit without an Easy A. But him being amazing doesn't alter the landscape of the game at all. Sure, no arguments from me. Like this tweet, 0 arguments from me for the entire thing. These two very randomly got thrown under a bus. I agree, which they should not have. And people like to pretend they are not as strong as they are. They are still really good. I agree. Obviously, I feel like a lot of people agree with the GT duo being really good. Obviously, they have their haters, undeservingly. But for the most part, people understand how good, well, some people understand how good they are. With the Boost Argo duo, they deserve more respect than they get. They are overhated. Only because of their standby skill. If you think about their standby skill, they are nothing. They are a 0. But with their standby skill, they can cook. If they had guard for the first 3 turns, ooh, that would be dirty. That would be very dirty. If you're using Trunks for his action break, okay, or his one-time usher, and pretending it makes him worthwhile, just use an item. Well, firstly, I agree that Trunks is very, very unimpressive. I 100% agree with that. Well, he's not impressive. Not very unimpressive, but he's certainly not impressive. But with regards to the item thing that you said, I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I can see why certain people don't want to use items, and I can see why certain people would want to use items. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, like, people will just do what they want, which is completely reasonable. Because not using items makes it a bit more challenging, whereas using items correctly can sometimes maybe make it a bit too easy. Like, if you have a really strong box, like, using items would make it really easy. So it doesn't matter if you want to use items or not. They're there for a reason. Use them if you want to. This unit is objectively stronger than the community treats her. Abu was saying the same thing, but from what I can tell, people rate her, like, decently high. Not top 5, because she's not top 5, like, at all. But she is top 10, and I feel like most people, as far as TURs go, and I feel like most people agree with that. You all saw her get chopped up by Zamasu's AoE, and immediately counted her off. Go use her in Omega. She rips him apart. I mean, you can say a similar thing for Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the LR, and I don't disagree. Speaking of Android 21, this banner unit is very good. Is basically the point that he's making, and I'm not gonna argue with that. By no means is she the best unit in the game, but she's decent. I'm not gonna argue with you there. Fair enough. If this guy isn't in a major celebration this year, Dokkan is fumbling the character as a whole. I agree. I 100% agree. Whether it's for the anniversary, the worldwide celebration, whatever it's for. Well, actually, I'm not going to completely agree with this, because they could save him for the 10th anniversary, which I am down. So actually, I'm not going to agree with that, because I'm just going to say they can save him for the 10th anniversary, and that would be very fitting as one of the options. As one of the Carnival LRs, for example, that would be sick. If the Dokkan Fest exclusive and the banner unit don't work together as well as these two, then I consider them a fumble. Fair? Because there's been situations where the Dokkan Fest needed help. The banner unit did not provide that help. So the Dokkan Fest ended up being mid as a release, overall release, so I'm not going to disagree with that. This guy stinks. He was certainly, I wouldn't say he stinks, but he was overrated on release, sure. He still is decent though from what I remember. I can't really remember exactly what he does. Either way, he was decent on release, but not as good as people were saying. Not in my opinion, at least. These changes to how power level is calculated is simply not good enough, sure. But I'm okay with it, sure. Dokkan never gets anything 100% correct right off the bat. It usually takes a couple additions to get stuff to where it needs to be. Fair. That's reasonable. AGL UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta, with the potential new UI Goku on the horizon as well. This unit's Goku restriction. What? This unit's won't Goku restriction. What? Okay, I think the point that he's making is, with more Gokus, with more options, this unit will get better. I don't disagree with that, but what they need is not just a bunch of Gokus. On top of that, they need a TOP Android 17, a new one, or even 18 for that matter, to go along with this unit in terms of links. Because a Goku by himself is not enough. It is, but it's not. They need their links active. Their links make a big difference. So they need a lot to be considered a really good unit. They could get it, but at the same time they might not. And just getting a bunch of Gokus might not be enough. Doesn't matter if you don't like him, don't care. The hype follows him, I agree. The money follows him, I agree. This guy is the most hype thing you can possibly drop in any Dragon Ball game right now. He is him. And I love to see it. I was waiting years for this guy's return. And he finally returned. And he's still not in Dokkan. And even if he comes for the anniversary, we on Global are gonna have to wait 5-6 months. For 5 months, but still, that's half a year nearly. It's not fair. It's not fair. Either way, let's continue. This was one of the biggest fumbles in the game. I disagree. Well, it's subjective. In my opinion, the biggest fumble, well, objectively, the biggest fumble, words, the biggest fumble, aside from what I'm doing right now, was Beastless Gohan. But sure, you can argue these guys were one of the biggest fumbles. Not because they were bad, but because of it should have been a dual Dokkan Fest. I'll give you that. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the point that he's making, so let's continue. This unit is so absurd. Even after SDR Jiren's EZA, they are still the best Universe 11 unit and they are free. Well, yes, but actually no. Individually, super good. In practice, garbage. Why are they garbage? They are garbage because their team is garbage, and they rely on their team to be good. And they are relying on garbage, so therefore they are garbage. Let's continue. I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not funny. Let's continue. Anyway, but I don't know what I did there. Anyway, shut up. These guys being what they are is actually good to me. Shut your mouth. Yes. Oh, shut your mouth. Even Gohan not being Beast. Shut your mouth, you little girl. Anyway, reason being is Piccolo is such a clear slaughter one. I agree. Orange Piccolo was handled extremely well. Beastless Gohan, I mean, his name says it all. And Gohan, okay, no, I'm not reading that. Let's continue. This is garbage. This will be the last one, sure. But let's be real. It doesn't matter who the unit is. If you just don't care about no item challenges, you can skate a Cyberman through Zamasu if you want. Items are in the game. Use them. Have fun. Use your favorite characters. It's a game. Like I said, entirely up to the person. I can see people having different preferences. As you said, if you use item, if you even use a Cyberman but you use items, you can beat the stage, which shows how powerful items are. So I can see why you would want to use them, if that would make you have more fun. But at the same time, other people want a challenge. So I'm not critical of people either way here. If you want to use items, use them. If you don't want to use them, don't use them. They're there. It's not, you're not forced to use them for a reason, because you don't have to. You can make it a challenge. Furthermore, there are missions where you have to complete them without using items. So getting used to not using items will benefit you. So let's end it with that. Let's do a quick subscriber challenge. If you guys agree with me that Beastless Gohan was the most disappointing thing in the history of this game, then you have to subscribe, because that is the challenge. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then do subscribe, especially if you just failed that challenge, because that is indeed the challenge. Also, do leave a like and comment, because those things do help out. With that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Ta-ta, adios, and bye-bye.